Hello, everyone. My name is Matei Zaharia. I'm the VP of Product Management of Data at Tableau. I'm joined with me here with Blair Hutchinson, the Product Manager on the Technology Partners arm for Tableau. And I'm here to talk with you about what you can gain from a benefit point of view by using delta sharing. And you'll have to wait through the end of the presentation to see what delta sharing actually means. Blair, do you want to step in and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks. And as Razi said, I work on our technology partner team, which means I work closely with our strategic partners like Databricks, and really excited to be here today as a launch partner for Delta sharing, as this really addresses a really important need for our customers around data access.
All right, so let's dive right in. So if you read the article by Gartner, they're claiming that by 2023, organizations that usually promote data sharing will outperform their peers on most business values metrics. And if you read carefully in the article, this comes as no surprise. It's actually the other side of the house, that whether you were following earlier a traditional of don't share data unless the mindset has outlived its original purpose. So I guess what I'm saying here, that sharing is the center of gravity for data moving forward. And this is also the center of gravity for this discussion. And let me walk you through what comes up in the agenda and what we're going to cover today around this sharing concept. So it all starts with data. I'm guessing that many of you have heard the new cliche, that data is the new oil. And quite honestly, when I talk to many customers and many of our partners, this is actually a reality. So we will talk about what it all starts with and where the data starts the whole process of transformation and digital transformation, which is based on the data sharing. And I guess we'll go over into what you could do if you get more data. Actually, that gets more exciting. It's not only about what it starts with, but rather where you can go with it, and wrap it up with delta sharing and Tableau coming together and giving you the hint into what's the point we're going to reveal later on in this presentation. So stay tuned for the next few slides, sharing with you what data sharing is all about. So guys, for those of you who have known Tableau, and I'm guessing many of you know Tableau, the way we like to paint ourselves is that we've been on a mission. We help people see and understand data. And this means more to us and more to anybody else is more than ever, because data gives people the superpower, and people that tap into the superpower can do incredible things. So it's all revolves around data, but the data alone is just mandatory but not sufficient. It's about the people that see it and understand it and what they make out of it. So with the data of seeing and understanding, let's move on to the next step and see how it translates into what you guys can gain from it and about sharing it. So let's see some facts and some claims about stats that I think would guide us through this discussion. So data people are a secret weapon in creating success. Studies shows us that organizations that are better harness their data are driving better outcomes. So they get a better complete picture, they make much better decision and faster, more importantly than that, and they empower everyone. So if you look at some of the numbers, let's pick on them one by one. 23x more likely to add customers. That's impressive. I guess you agree with me on that. Almost 1.5 times more likely to grow revenue by more than 10%. That's super impressive. And last but not least, 9x are more likely to retain customers. So this means that putting all of these metrics together gives you a sense of drive and merit, why you should actually follow a data-driven culture, if you will, and move on to an organization it's performing better based on its data utilization and data-driven culture. So we've all seen the metrics, they look impressive, but for every con there's a pro, and every pro there's a con. So let me share with you a little bit more details that may be slightly showing a different picture. But the truth is, organizations, for the most part, unfortunately falling short. Recent surveys show that less than 10% of companies are actually distinguishing themselves as being more data-driven. And if you look more than that, that means that most of us are falling behind. That's a fairly straightforward claim. That was a competitive problem before the pandemic, before worldwide economic downturn, before the complete upheaval of how we work, before and after we work. And what our customers expect from us today is becoming a data-driven culture, a data-driven company, and a data-driven organization. It's not just a matter of being able to deliver on competitive edge, it's about a matter of survival. So it's not something that that you can just overlook. It's something that you have to address, and the earlier, the better. At Tableau, we've been consumed with understanding of what makes a difference for those who are actually finding success. And it's much deeper than deploying technology, and we go beyond the technology. It's more fundamental about how you do things rather than what you're actually doing. That's why we call it building a data culture, which is the center of everything that we do about driving people seeing and understanding data, about driving the uptick of their organizational change and data discovery and data utilization and data transformation. It all centers around data and what you do with it in the context of culture and adoption. It all starts, we said already in the beginning, it all starts with the data. So we need to deploy that platform and we need to allow people to get access to the data. So they get the data access. And last but not least, once they're done with it and they're happy with the results, they want to collaborate and share it with their peers and supervisors and others who are actually consuming the dashboards and the outcomes and findings and insights, and they interact among each other. And we've worked with many organizations of every size, every industry, technically and practically across the globe. I mean, the slide in front of you shows you so many names that gives you a sense of the diversity of the organizations, customers that we work with. So that's, I'm guessing, comes as no surprise. Our customers are leaders in the industry. They use Tableau to change the way people interact with data. And in fact, what we do, Tableau, we help them turn insights into action, cut down on the analysis time, change behaviors to help everyone be more data-driven across the business. It's all about the data and what you do with it. So I walked you through the offering. I walked you through our customers, the customer value by using Tableau, but I think it gets even better when Tableau partners with its strategic partners, in this case, Databricks, and we're super excited and glad to share that we are a strategic partner of Databricks. As you can see here in the picture, we have Francois, who's our CPO, shaking hands with Michael Hoff, who runs the partner organization. So it's not only about Tableau, it's about Tableau plus Databricks, bringing in 1 + 1 greater than 2, significantly bigger, larger, and more addressable value to the addressable market we're chasing together. So let me tell you a little bit more about that as we move into the actual cooperation between the two companies. The strategic partnership goes across all layers, from the products to the engineering, to the sales and field, all across the board. And when it comes to the actual implementation, it basically boils down to how do we connect the ends and how do we make these two offerings come together and show what I already alluded to as a 1 + 1 greater 2. And we already said upfront, it all starts with the data. So let's dive in right into data. In 2019, we did introduce the first connector that we did from Tableau into Databricks, and we showed 12x improvement in initial connection speed. It was about 30% improvement in SQL generation. It was even a simplified connection experience and improved error handling. So we kind of hit the road with something that was already ahead of the curve and very promising for us as things kind of progressed over the time. In 2020, we took it one step further and we reduced the latency. From a connectivity point of view, we were able to demonstrate significantly higher throughput, and we even did some more fine-tuning on the actual connectivity and the connection between the two ends. We did update wire protocol. We did a bunch of stuff through Simba in February, but we'll be releasing in the next quarter even more faster and lower latency across the two technologies, or the two stacks, I should say. In 2021, this year, we are continuing to co-develop this joint technology and joint go-to-market agenda, and continuing to make improvements based on SSO and performance from the ODBC driver, take advantage of SQL analytics. So as you can see, that integration is as deep as it gets, and we mean business. We want to make sure that the Databricks engine is taken to the max plus the Tableau engine together, and we can definitely demonstrate how these things come together and provide so much more value to our joint customers, which would be a perfect segue to the next slide. And let me share with you some joint customers. Here we go. So the name's right in front of you, and let me touch on the two of these particular names, Flip and CVS Health. Specifically with Flip, it's a retail technology company that works with the largest retailers and brands, which enables everyone to access and analyze the entire data. So it's a breach of the ability for the business analysts and the sales teams, and that they can show their partners, customers, what are they processing and how they're processing it. It's a data science team that can build powerful predictive analytics, so that's a killer for them. And last but not least, is for the engineering team now can create product features that rely on the joint analytics offering. So that's a really exciting use case that we take pride at Flip, and really looking forward to the next steps that they're going to push it onwards. CVS Health, we all know CVS, a common drugstore that you all know. It has about 80 million customers passing through their pharmacies every day. It's a giant. And what are they doing? They're using Tableau and Databricks to provide meaningful interaction that put customers in the path to much better health. In other words, what does it mean? It's a collaborative environment. The teams are able to work together and provide much better service to their customers, not our customers. So it's about the data engineering, on building faster data pipelines, which means they can provide faster, more accurate, and more relevant answers. It's about the data sciences on training machine learning models and very efficiently doing so they continuously learn and improve their experience that they're pushing to their customers. And last but not least, the very typical and traditional data analysts visualizing the financial and operational metrics so that they continue dashboarding and monitoring and improving on their own KPIs using the two platforms. So that's a very typical classical case of a retailer using these two powerful engines from the Tableau and Databricks together, pushing their own business to the next step.
So as Razi just shared, we have a number of customers that are taking advantage of Tableau and Databricks today. We have a proven history with all of those customers. And a common theme is that all of them are thinking about what they can do with more data. They want more data in order to make more precise and accurate decisions with the data that they already have. And the industry has really been looking for a solution to this data access problem that we face currently. So what can we do to solve that? And that's what we're really excited to talk about today, which is delta sharing. So let's talk about delta sharing at a high level and why Tableau is so excited to be a launch partner for this project. So delta sharing is the industry's first open protocol for secure data sharing, and it makes it simple to share data with other organizations regardless of which computing platform that they're using. And this is so exciting because Tableau and Databricks have been on a mission to democratize data. We hear from our customers, our partners, and our suppliers that they need what delta sharing is able to provide. And it's such a critical link, I think, in our whole data ecosystem that our customers are living in. So we're tremendously excited about the opportunity that this provides everyone that can take advantage of this new protocol. So I should also just mention that it's an open source project that's a part of the Delta Lake project. And any platform that supports delta sharing will be able to easily and securely share data with other platforms via the open protocol. So on the right-hand side, you have your data providers and data sharers. They make their data accessible via a delta sharing server. You notice on the right-hand side in big orange letters, it says the data does not move. And that's the case. It gets updated and refreshed by the data providers and then simply gets passed along via the delta sharing server. You can see on the bottom there that examples of where these tables could live include GCP, Azure, and AWS, as you can see on the bottom. And then you have your consumers that are able to see the metadata that's provided via the delta sharing server in tools like Tableau. So now let's look at what that looks like in action. How does someone go from getting access to a delta sharing table to being able to visualize and explore that data set in Tableau? So there are two workflows that we see Tableau users taking advantage of the delta sharing protocol. The first is what I'm calling direct connect. You're within the Tableau UI and you connect directly to that data set how you normally would in Tableau. The second is a little bit different, and I'll save that until after the demo. So let's move left from right in this flow here. So the data sharer shares their data set on the delta sharing server. Try saying that 10 times fast. Then the Tableau user connects via a web data connector, which is what WDC stands for, to the delta sharing server. So the data sharer makes their data available on the sharing server and then would send a URL or an activation link to the Tableau user. That's a one-time use activation link that they can share. The Tableau user downloads those credentials from the activation link and pastes them in the web data connector, which you'll see here in a second. There's an underlying handshake between the user and the sharing server that happens via the secure Delta protocol. And then the Tableau web data connector has the signed URL, which gives them access to that data set so that they can drag and drop and explore that data set however they'd like. So without further ado, let's look at this in action. Let me quickly transition over to my desktop. So I'm going to start with the activation link. So this was sent to me by one of the data sharers. And what I'll do is I'll download that credential file, which is saving a JSON file locally to my computer. And as I'm hovering over that, you can see I can't download those credentials again. So next I'll jump over to Tableau Desktop and I'll put in my URL to use the web data connector, and I'll add those credentials that I just saved locally on my computer. So once I've done that, then you can see that I've got access to that data set. And now I can drag in the tables that I'm looking to visualize. In this case, just the vaccines table. So when I update this, this is now pulling in the data that data sharer or data provider has given me access to. And in this case, this is some global health information that someone has shared with me that I'm looking to use to explore some COVID responses based on the number of vaccines that have been doled out for each country. And at the top right, you see that this is an extract, but anytime that I refresh this connection, I'll be able to actually pull in brand new data that data sharer has loaded to that particular data set. So for what I'm interested in is looking at the stringency index across time. And if you're not familiar with that particular measure, it's a composite measure based on 9 response indicators, including school closures, workplace closures, and travel bans. And it scales from a value of 0 to 100. So the higher value you have, the more strict you are. So now we're looking at all countries over time, and it was highest around April 12th. What I'm going to do is drag over just a subset of European countries. We'll look at the UK, France, and Spain here. And I'll just drag that onto color so that we can see how both of those broken out. And see that everyone had a pretty high response in March and April of 2020. And then there was some varying degrees of stringencies applied across each country. So I've taken the liberty of creating a dashboard that includes that stringency index view that we just created. And what I'll do here is expand the date range so that we can see this a little bit more clearly, how things trended over time. So what I've called out here is the UK had a really high stringency index that they set compared to the rest, and then they had that really strong drop off. So this is really just an example of creating a dashboard that's using data that's been provided by Delta sharing. And you can see just how easy it is to connect to that data and start getting meaningful insights from it. All right, so let's transition back into slides. And I mentioned at the beginning that there were 2 ways that Tableau customers could take advantage of Delta sharing and Tableau. The first was that direct connect, which you just saw in action a second ago. And the second is using Delta sharing plus Tableau Hyper. And if you aren't already aware, Hyper is our in-memory data engine for fast data ingestion and analytical querying and processing. So it just makes your dashboards and your exploring data go really, really quickly. And we see our customers using a hybrid approach to querying things live and using Hyper. And Hyper comes with an API, which allows you to create Hyper files and then publish those to a Tableau server or Tableau Online to make those available for people to access. And so we imagine that customers can take advantage of Delta sharing and Hyper just as they would to transform data in any other process. So for example, that could be using a Databricks notebook to bring in multiple different data sets. You're using the Delta sharing server to really augment data that you're already collecting, and then bring that information together, put it into a Hyper file, and then make that available and publish it to Tableau so that anyone could end up using it. So those are the 2 different ways that we see that we think that customers can take advantage of Delta sharing in Tableau. And we're really excited for you guys all to go try this out and let us know how it goes. So in summary, we've boiled it down into 3 major benefits for Tableau users when using Delta sharing. So the first one is that it simplifies data access. So Tableau users are really easily able to connect and explore data that's made available by providers. And most importantly, it's done securely, because whenever we're talking about data, it needs to be secure. You saw that in the demo that we showed, how easy it is to connect and start exploring your data sets. The second is that it allows for data enrichment, and it's then becomes so much more useful if you're able to pull in data that you're already looking at and can augment it with data that's being made available to you around financial data, corporate data, consumer data, geographical data, and the list really goes on. I think that time will tell, what this project really enables. So I'm really excited to see what that ends up looking like. And the third, which really is made good by what the first 2 allow you to do, which is creating that data culture within an organization. And this is what Tableau and Databricks are on a mission to create, which is behaviors and beliefs that people have that value and practice and encourage the use of data to improve decision-making throughout the organization. So the call to actions that we have listed out are the following. The first is, feel free to connect with us. We'd love to connect one-on-one with you, to go into a little bit of a deeper dive into the use case that you guys that you think that this would bring about. And the second is that I'm going to make the demo and the reference architecture for the web data connector, as well as some sample scripts to get started in using the Hyper API plus the Delta sharing protocol available on our community pages. So download and comment on that information. I will be an active viewer of that, and I'm really curious to see what the conversation starts shaping up like. So thank you so much for joining the session. Razi, I'll pass it back over to you.
So guys, thank you so much for staying through the entire session. I want to kind of reiterate and encourage you guys to go through the Tableau community site and see how this whole thing may fit your own goals and your own data needs and your own data sharing journey as you go forward in your own organizations, and really, really encourage you and welcome you to come and be part of the community and contribute and read and learn. And with this opportunity in mind, I would like to thank you again, and hope we get to see you shorter in the future in another data summit or another session. And all the best. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you.